All right. When we left, we were talking about remembering Senator Lautenberg, and there's been kind words from both sides of the aisle, from those closest, including Governor Christie. But Governor Christie announced a decision yesterday about how he's going to do this, and there's a controversy in itself about that. There's going to be a special election. He could have waited till next year, but instead he's saying we're going to do this year. A primary set for August, and the election, again, a special election, be in October. There's a price tag. We'll get into that and everything else. But how are people responding to the governor's decision? I think it was politically brilliant on it. There might be some short-term criticism. I think there'll be long-term benefit, but not everybody's doing cartwheels about how he went about it.
Well, rather than looking at individuals, we tried to find editorial boards and other media outlets, Rich, and it not being received all that well. The decision at a cost to taxpayers of around $25 million and in a way that prevents the governor's race from appearing on the same ballot as the Senate race isn't making people on either side of the political spectrum happy. The New York Star-Ledger editorial board calling it Christie's self-serving stunt. From the Bergen Record editorial page, Senate haste. And from Record columnist Charlie Style, Christie betting political benefits of holding special election will outweigh fallout. The Philadelphia Inquirer's Will Bunch going even further, saying Christie's decision makes him a shrewd politician who will never be president. But reaction in conservative media even angrier. National Review had the nicest take on it. They wrote, Christie splits the difference. Far-right website Hot Air explains the anger. Christie thwarts GOP again, sets special election for October instead of letting appointees serve until next year. But my favorite reaction comes from Rush Limbaugh, of all places. Quote, Chris Christie positions himself for the 2016 Democrat presidential primary. Rich? All
right, well said. Let me start with you, Jeannie. In terms of how he went about the decision, for people who haven't done the math of it, he won't have Cory Booker on the same ballot that he's going to be on here. They might be running for different races, but the turnout would be much higher if there was a Senate race to go along with a governor's race, and that's not his best interest in a blue state, even if he's way up in the polls. That said, he's doing it twice, and as Andrew said, there's also a big political number, and he managed to tweak both parties. To me, I think that's an accomplishment. If you get both of them mad, you can't be blamed here for being partisan.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. We always look at the idea that governors can appoint a senator in this kind of special election as a really wonderfully powerful thing that they can do. And in fact, it looks like this is a very, very troubling thing for Governor Christie. But that said, I think Republicans need to stop for a minute and remember, it's not only in Governor Christie's interest to get Cory Booker off that ballot. It is also in the interest of the state GOP. Democrats control New Jersey, if you look at their Congress, their legislature. If Cory Booker is running on the same ticket or the same ballot as Christie, their turnout's going to be higher. They have no shot of taking the assembly, taking the legislature. So Republicans need to stop for a minute and say, hey, look, we don't know what he was thinking. I mean, it looks like it was in his self-interest, and it looks partisan, it looks political, it looks personal. But it is also in the New Jersey GOP's political
The
best
anger on the
interest.
right, though, has been palpable.
Well,
I think Jeannie's right.
Jeannie's got
like
a great idea on this because I've got three numbers for you. The first two are 24. That's the number of Democratic senators in New Jersey, and 16 number of GOP senators. There's been hope in New Jersey with Christie top of the ballot, 30 points ahead in the polls right now, to have coattails, pick up a few more Senate seats, be able to accomplish more in a Senate that's not as Democratic. So that's number one as far as the future of what he wants to do in New Jersey with his own vision. The other one is 1.6 million. That's how much Cory Booker had in the bank the last filing back in March. His plan was to run the fundraising from now until 2014. He wanted to raise enough money, have the Senate, and a walkaway. Now he has a primary. Now he has 1.6. Let's say he raised another $500,000. He's at $2 million. It is now a much more a bigger opportunity for the GOP now opposed to in 2014.
Especially if he picked somebody who, in effect, could have at least some free name recognition in the interim if he or she chooses to run. Andrew, let's get beyond numbers to a second to the winners and losers here. We mentioned some of the names. Who do you think came out ahead and behind out of this deal?
Well, let's start with the people who I think came behind, and those are going to be, first of all, any Republicans who wanted to run for the Senate who aren't going to be the ones who are named by Christie to the special election. They're probably going to be losers in all of this since the advantages that appointee is going to get. A lot of people have been saying that it's, there you go, Senate candidates not appointed to the seat. A lot of people have also been saying this is actually going to hurt Republican chances for the state assembly and the state Senate. Obviously, we get some disagreement on the panel here for that. New Jersey taxpayers arguably losers in this. They're on the hook for $25 million to cover the cost. And as OB pointed out, the biggest loser may be Cory Booker. He's got less time to raise money, and he'll probably face more primary challengers since any sitting members of the House aren't going to have to risk their seat in the House in order to run against him for the Senate seat.
The turnout for a special election primary is going to be minuscule right now. So if you want to pull an upset, that's your shot.
Right.
If you wrote that, great minds think alike.
It happens every now and then. As for the big winners, assuming Governor Christie appoints a Republican to the seat in the short term, that Republican will likely have a clear path to the special election nomination. And of course, there's Governor Christie himself. He avoids appearing on the same ballot as Cory Booker. He can still sell his decision as being bipartisan, putting state interests over party politics. Assuming that is Rich, people don't think that he's gone to all of this trouble just to protect his own political future and do it on taxpayer dime.
Do you think there's not going to be a Republican primary?
I don't. I think I think if it's not a placeholder appointment, if it's not a Tom Kean Sr., if it's a Joe Carrillos will probably run unopposed in the primary.
I highly disagree. I've gotten 2 phone calls, people talking about running for the Senate today.
Yeah.
And
because
they are in the list to get
I'm with
appointed.
Obie only because think about all the names were thrown out, and you were scrounging for names, right? For who could, you know, none of them have a clear path here. I mean, Carrillos, he was Christie's handpicked guy here to run, and he got killed by 20 points. In a blue state here, nobody's got a clear path here.
They follow this through, though, too, for a second. Whoever gets the appointment, what does he or she have to do between now and Election Day?
They got to cast
They have
votes.
to go down to Washington, which means they can't be campaigning in New Jersey, which means they can't go
And they
raise
gotta
money
vote on
as easily.
immigration.
And the good news is I voted. The bad news is I voted. Based upon what that does to the electorate, that can have an impact on this race, too.
But you know who he should nominate? He should nominate a moderate Republican
Tom Kean
woman.
Sr.
No, a woman. New Jersey
Christie's
has
got
no
Whitney.
women in their delegation, and there's never been a female senator from the state of New Jersey. There should be a
I hear one name,
nomination.
which is the lieutenant governor.
The lieutenant governor. There's a few people in the legislature, a few moderate Republican women. Christie Todd Whitman, I don't think that's a great choice, but I think he should look to a female. I think that could be a very strong
All
candidate
right.
for
Well,
him.
Andrew,
The
who
other
do you
thing-
think he'll pick?
You know,
A woman,
I
Andrew.
want him to pick Tom Kean Sr. I want him to pick the
Me
former
too.
governor as a placeholder. It's the least controversial. It's the least risky for Christie, I
And he's
think.
beloved in New Jersey.
He is. I think we may be likely to get a Joe Carrillos, who's the state senator who ran against Menendez and lost last year, but is very close friends. I think was holding the Bible at Christie's wedding. And why not? Because it's not like Carrillos is going to
Obie, are
win
you hearing
an
any
election.
names other than the obvious?
The thing I think anyone has to watch out for is a self-funder from either party to step up, because any man or woman that can self-fund a race like this doesn't have to go out and fundraise. They immediately can go on TV
But
in
who
New
do you
York
think
and
he'll
Philly.
pick, though?
I think whoever he's going to pick will not be somebody too moderate. I think it'll be somebody that is center-right,
I'll
not,
tell you the name
not
I think
center.
we're going to hear, Richard Bramnick. Now, for those who don't know, member of the legislature, I'm very conservative. He's quick, he's glib, and I think it mitigates some of the blowback that Christie will get. I don't think he can win, in a general, but I think for a few months, you throw a bone here to Republicans, there'll be a safe vote here on anything conservative that would come up there.
I'm just curious, do you think that Christie's on the hook for any votes or comments by whoever's appointee is?
Sure, because if you're a Democrat, anybody that he appoints, any vote he or she takes, they're going to step up right away and do something. There's no question.
Yep.
Anything this person says or does between now and when Christie
You got a
is
guess?
elected in November,
I think it should be as lieutenant governor. I think that leaves him an open space to appoint another Republican to that, when he's running. So I think that would be a wise decision. I see throwing a bone to conservatives, but I don't see the need for it.
he's not going to go that far right. I'm just saying that if
Yeah.
it's too close to the center, Rush Limbaugh's comment becomes more apparent.
But I think
But-
Christie sees that as something that's going to benefit him in 2016.
You know
Maybe
what's unique
what
here,
I got to
too?
do is I got to hit a
Okay.
break here. And when we come back, though, this is a conversation I've been dying to get your take on here. For those who didn't see, the governor of Mississippi is taking a lot of heat right now for saying that children are underperforming in school because of working moms. Now, he hedged a little bit. We'll let you hear for yourself here. But he's not alone in saying that. In 2013, we're fighting this fight all over again, it seems. We'll have that conversation on the other side of the break.